Okay, I'm excited about getting going on this. We're still working on repairing our financial statements. The first video was all about balancing the balance sheet, you see, and so we've got our balance sheet in balance. And the second video was the statement of financial activity, in which we balance the ending figures on the statement of financial activity back to their corresponding figures on the balance sheet. The idea being is the balance sheet is our logical anchor. If it balances, then we feel like it's pretty close to being right. And so now we want to make sure that the ending figures on our statement of financial activity, these down here, we want to make sure that they tally back to the balance sheet. So today's video is about the statement of net assets, okay? And we have a statement of net assets here that we want to compare back, and we have a total net assets of $1675,034, and that compares back to the $1675,034 right there. But what happens if they don't, if it doesn't? So what I have done as a teaching device is actually monkeyed around with the statement of net assets here, okay, and this is on another set of financial statements. It's a slightly confusing what we have here, but we have the statement of net assets, and you see the total of these statement of net assets is $1605,133, and when we go back to the balance sheet, the total assets are $1675,034. So something's not right. Okay. Well, also we have, since we've already balanced the income statement, $1675,034, this figure matches the balance sheet, so the balance sheet and the statement of activity all tallies together, but the net asset statement is all goofed up. So with $1605,133, well, fortunately this is a lot easier to find the mistakes, because this slightly corresponds with the income statement. So we get our balance sheet right first, then our income statement, and then this is sort of a piece of cake because it's numbers. It's easy to figure out where is the problem going on. All right, to make it a little bit easier to show you what I'm talking about, I have actually going to open both of these statements. Okay, this is where it gets slightly confusing. Pay attention. So this is the income statement, the activity statement of this same organization, and so they should be the same number at the bottom. Okay, let's see if we can't see that. Okay, so we come down here to $1675,034, which is, we know is right because it ties the balance sheet, and this one comes down $1605,133. So what that means is that we've got to figure out where the problem might be. And the beautiful thing about it is there's correspondence here that we can trace back and forth. So for example, the beginning net assets was $1781,878 over here on the income statement, $1781,878. Okay, on the statement of activity, the beginning net assets, and we go over here to our net assets statements, and the beginning is $1781,878. So we know that this number is wrong, the 1605, but at least it's starting out right. Okay, so what we're trying to find is somewhere on this sheet there's a mistake that's throwing our balance out, At least it's not in column E. So we're okay with column E because this corresponds with the number that we're confident with. Okay, and so now the next column is our income column, and it would be really great if all we had to do was come over here to our income on our income statement right here and pick it up. But this figure here, the income on our in this column of our net assets, the income in this column includes all of the income over here and this figure and that figure and any other income down here. So this income column includes all the income, both operating income, appropriation income, and capital activity income. And the expenses in the I column here all correspond with the expenses in the operating expenses, expenses in under appropriations, which would be that more or less, and capital appropriations dispersed. Okay, and so we can trace those back and forth to find it, but it might just be easier not to worry so much about that's conceptually a great thing, but it's really a little bit easier to find our problems. And so let's just look at it. And so now I'm going over to the balance sheet. Okay, and my balance sheet, if I can get this to behave correctly so you can see it nicely. Okay. Takes coordination that I don't really have. All right. Okay, so this is the balance sheet down at the bottom of statement of net assets, and the ending net assets for the plant fund, that's this column right here, is 2297,065, and we can go down here and see 2207,965 right there. And so right away we eliminate any errors in this column. We know that this number is wrong. Where could it be? Well, we know it's not at the beginning figure over here, so we've eliminated column E. Now we're eliminating whole rows, section rows. Okay, and this 2297,065 includes all of this, and since this matches the 2297,065 matches the balance sheet, we can right away just say that's right. Okay, so we can right away eliminate any possibility of error in the plan fund section. So now we can go up to the operating fund, and we see in the operating fund that we're supposed to have 622,030, and we have 691,931. So we obviously it's in the operating fund. And we start right up here at the top. Tithe of 823,824 matches the balance sheet, so we know it's not in that row. Here is the non-tithe 29,048, and ooh, that doesn't look right. And so we mark that sort of as alarming. Okay, and then our allocated is 169.41. 169.41 is in our allocated. So we know that the problem is in our non-tithe row here of 29,048. Okay, and so now in practical terms is I would start just looking at each of these four numbers. We know it's not in this column because we've tied down the beginning balance, so it's got to be in income, expenses, and transfers. Okay, this is transfers right here going on, and so we can start just trying to narrow it down, and we know it's in non-tithe, so I could take my non-tithe figure right there and drill down on it by account, and let's see what we've got. Okay, and similar to what we did in the previous videos, we're eager to trace these numbers over to those numbers. Okay, so let's work on our income figure first. So I'm not going to belabor it here. I think you've seen it twice with the previous two videos, but I would normally take this out to Excel and trace, but let's just see what we've got. So I'm going to drill down with this number and specify account code and description. And so I've got income tithe appropriation received $360,000, and I got 65110 tithe appropriation received $840,000. What? And I've got non-tithe appropriation received $70,000. Non-tithe appropriation received $80,000. Dude, all right. So that didn't match. That wasn't a very pleasant experience at all. Okay, so let's go back to that statement in NetSS. Let's see if we can drill down and tie these down. Okay, so we had just general chaos over here with the income matching, the matching of the income here to the matching on that on the statement. And so let's drill down on this one. Okay, remember, this is the details. We know that this is right for the non-tithe fund because it was drilled down off of the balance sheet. Okay, a statement of financial position. So we're confident in the numbers over here. And when we try to trace income, it didn't work. But just to show you that tracing is possible, it's supposed to be working. Okay, we'll do account code and description here. Okay, and so these are the expenses. Capital appropriation made $282. Capital appropriation made $534. Oh brother. Literature evangelist $109,100. Literature expense $109,100. This one that we had problems with is $534. That's very interesting. Building maintenance and repair is $1,250.25, and building maintenance repair $1,225, and residence equipment firm and $902,140. $902,140 is $52. Looks like we're having problems, and so we've said these things are not working correctly at all over here. So it's not as if one thing is off. It seems like everything is off. Okay, we could look over here and we drill down by account code and description. Transferred between functions 203, 853, 76. Transfer. Oh brother. So this thing is way kooky. So I come over here and say, what is going on with these figures here? And I drill down on it and I say, what is not drill down, I'm opening the query here. And what is the problem with this query? It's picking up the right accounts. This is the income accounts for Fund 10. I'm in the in the operating fund. Restriction code 1 would be non-tithe and AF. Here, this is say pick up all the AFs. Okay, and what could be the problem? Well, the problem is right here. YE is last year's figure, and it's supposed to be YA. You see, so somehow or another that thing has gotten changed, and it is okay. All right, and so I think what I will do is close that, and let's extract this again. And before we look at our results, let's remind ourselves of what the ending balance is supposed to be. 1675034, write that down, and then our operating fund is 622030, and we come right over here and we go 16 622030 and 1675034. So what we did is that we took the statement of net assets and compared it back to our balance sheet and our income statement, looking for places where the statement of net assets was not in balance, didn't work right, and we narrowed it down. We compared the beginning balance on the statement of net assets to the beginning balance on my statement of financial activity, right down here. Then we compared the totals in each of these ending balances to the totals showing up on the balance sheet right here, until we narrowed it down to the row that's having the problem. And then we worked with the row that was having a problem until we could find out what was the mistake and what was causing the mistake. So I hope that this was a quick enough little video to help you out. It's fairly simple. Just follow some sort of little logical, careful, and deliberate process. And by the way, of course, it's logical that if you know how to balance the current year, you do the same thing balancing last year's. So thank you for listening, and I hope that you find that this was a little bit helpful.